I've already harped on this quite a few times in my past videos, but I just want to spend some time actually talking about it, and that is the organization of the analysis essay. So the very first thing you're going to have is your intro. In your intro, let me scoot that over a little bit. There we go. In your intro, that'll be your first paragraph. Okay, you can chalk that up to one paragraph. Now, typically, you're not going to have more than one paragraph. I know there were some questions last week. Can you have more than one paragraph in your introduction? I suppose you could, but it's not really effective because then you have, typically it's not needed, and that really speaks a lot to concise writing. If there's ever a chance for you to say the exact same thing as what you're saying, what you just said, but say it in fewer words, then do that. Let me give you an example. If you can say, go home, Panda. Go home, Panda. You're drunk. Go home, Panda. You're drunk. That's pretty concise. You can't really cut any words out of that without taking away from the meaning. I mean, if you took out go, it'd be home panda. If you said you're drunk, why are you sending the panda home? Now you don't know why you're sending the panda home. Now you're just being a jerk. So that is concise writing. However, if we were to say, or actually we're talking to Panda, aren't we? Panda, you've been consuming too many alcoholic beverages, so you need to go home. That is a very long and drawn out way of saying what I just said in 5 words. Yeah, I said in 5 words what this sentence says in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14. 14 words. You can condense that down to 5. Anytime you can do that, do it, because no one wants to read this fluff. This is fluff. There's no reason to say it this way. You can say it in just 5 words. And so that more or less answers why you should really try and stay to one paragraph. The introduction really doesn't need to be more than that. If you're writing more than one paragraph, you either have this very, very, very complex writing, which would be like scholarly journal type of writing, doing research out in the field, and you're introducing the topic, and that's not what we're doing. We're just talking about a basic analysis essay, and it's very, very simplified compared to like those scientific journals. So one paragraph for your. All right. So for section 2, then section 2 becomes the place where you define your topic. If you are talking about gay marriage, here define exactly what you're talking about. Tell us what all is there about gay marriage currently, because remember you need to have scholarly articles from the last 5 years. So since 2010, how has the argument of legalizing gay marriage really evolved? And so in the last couple of years especially, a lot of states have started legalizing it. So you can start to talk about that in your topic description. And it's really a place where you stay away from the arguments. You don't, if you tell me that it's been legalized, like say that you use the topic and it's been legalized. Don't go into in this section that, oh, this makes, according to one side of the argument, that makes this okay, because if so many people say it's okay, then it must be all right. That's, that could be one argument, but this isn't the place for it. You're just telling me what's developed in the last 5 years regarding this topic. If it's been legalized, tell me that's been legalized, but don't use that as a reason to either be pro or anti-gay marriage, because that's section 3 and section 4. So section 3 this is where you talk about the one side. You're going to introduce one side of the argument. Now, that might be a good transition, because if you just said it's recently been legalized, You can also then transition and say, according to some, because it has been legalized in so many states, that makes it okay, or that makes it a good thing. And then you can spend this whole time talking about pro-gay marriage and what they say in their field. And remember, last 5 years, you got to have the last 5 years for your scholarly articles. So in the last 5 years, what's developed for the pro-gay marriage side? For those people that support gay marriage, what are they saying? What have they been saying for the last 5 years, and kind of where are we right now? What is it that has developed in that argument? Once you've done that, okay, I just realized I misnumbered these. Introduction, section 1, section 2, section 3. Now when you get to section 3, that becomes the other side. Just like you did in section 2 where you described one argument, the pro-gay marriage, now you're going to describe the other side of the argument without saying, I take either side or the other. You're just going to describe both sides, just like you did up here in the topic description. Be unbiased. Don't tell us what you believe here. Don't describe it, and the big thing here is, even if you do, like say that the other side is anti-gay marriage, let's say that you're against gay marriage. If that's the case, don't reveal what you say, because a lot of people, if they are anti-gay marriage and they start to describe this section, they'll naturally kind of gravitate towards, this is the right way to be. And I'm not saying that's the case, I'm just using that as an example. They will gravitate to, whatever side I'm describing. If I agree with that side, it's going to become evident in my writing. So you really have to work on not making it evident which side of the argument that you are subscribing to, because at this point, that's not the place where you're describing your beliefs. Your beliefs come in the conclusion. And of course, they're hinted at in the introduction, but not explicitly stated, or described, I should say. So the other side of the argument, you describe that, unbiased, and then section 4, but part 5 becomes a conclusion. This is where you're going to kind of outline your opinion. You don't necessarily have to do that in this section. I suggest it because throughout this entire essay, you're going to have this opinion. And by the time you get to the end, you're really going to want to let it out because you haven't been able to let it out in any of these 3 sections. And this is the one place where you can, so I suggest you do. Another thing, let's see. You'll, of course, review both sides, first. The reason you do that is because you don't want to give your opinion and then review the evidence. You want to review the evidence and say, after you've reviewed it, in light of this evidence, my opinion is this, or readers should do this, because that's what you're really trying to do, right? You're trying to persuade the reader to become informed and make their own decision. And it can be suggested that they go one way, or it can be suggested that they make their own decision. If you don't, if you're really against putting in your opinion, suggest that they go their own route. The paragraph part, we have to write down the paragraph. So if you're wanting, general paragraphing, the intro, of course, is 1 paragraph. Section 1, you could probably get away with this being 1 to 3 paragraphs, anywhere in that vicinity, because it depends on how thorough an explanation of the topic you need. If it's on gay marriage, there's not a whole lot to describe, so you might get away with just 1. But if you're talking about maybe the VA and how they don't take care of veterans very well, you're going to have a lot of stuff to cover, so you might have more paragraphs there. Let's see, so section 2, I'd say you'd probably be able to get away with 2 to 3 paragraphs in section 2 and section 3. And then, of course, the conclusion needs to be 1 paragraph. So in that, you can get away with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, somewhere between 7 and 1, 4, 7, 10, 11. Between 7 and 11 paragraphs, but remember, 3 to 4 pages is the expectation there. So this is just kind of a generic. If you need more, if you write, if you don't write a lot, then you're going to need more paragraphs, obviously. But if your paragraphs are longer, richer, full of information, then you may only need 7. But that's just kind of a general rundown. You really have to deal with that when you get there, because I can't say exactly how much you write in your essays, so can't tell you exactly how many paragraphs you need. What I can tell you, though, is that you need 3 to 4 pages. So this is the outline for your analysis essay. just a suggested outline. You can outline it in any way that you want, but when you outline it this way, it becomes clear of what you're talking about to the reader, and so it's a little bit easier. I think that's all I have for you today, and so that's the last video I'm going to make regarding this information. I'll post an intro video that kind of goes through and shows everybody how to use everything. But other than that, if you have any questions, post them in the forum.